Hey guys, this is Josh Silverbauer of Grew and Bleen, also known as The Optimizer. And today I'm going to walk you through how to set up Google Analytics the right way through Google Tag Manager. So we always want to set up Google Analytics through Tag Manager. It'll just help you organize all of the code on your website, all the tags that you're putting on there. Also allow you to do some awesome additional functionality such as click tracking, form tracking, all sorts of fun. There's some built-in like scroll tracking, so it gives you a lot of extra functionality. So I'm going to show you from start to finish how to install the Google Analytics tag through Tag Manager, and then also how to set up your Google Analytics so that you guys can track the data the way that you most efficiently can. So first thing we're going to do, it doesn't really matter which order. You can go to Google Tag Manager or you can go to Google Analytics first, but you're going to need to create an account. So the way you do that in Google Tag Manager is you add a new account and you just put in your company name, test company. You're going to put in a container. So the account name is really just a labeling system for yourself. It doesn't really mean anything. So if you have like your main company, so test company, and that company has like two different websites, you would use the container to write out which website you want to work on. So we're going to do growandbleen.com, and then we're going to do, this is a website, so we're going to use a website tag here. We're going to create this. And you're going to say yes. We're going to read this whole thing. Oh, it's so interesting. Love it. Click yes. And then it's going to bring up Google Tag Manager. And this is going to give you some code where you're going to need to put this code on your website, and I'm going to show you where to do that. But we're going to leave this code up for now, and we're just going to jump over to Analytics real quick, and we're going to create a new account. So I'm in the admin section. Move my beautiful face over here real quick so you can see this admin section here. And we're in admin, and I just click create a new user or create a new account. So we're going to create this account. I'm going to put in my name, Grew and Bleen test account, and the website name again. So this is Grew and Bleen. And you're going to put the URL in, so grewandbleen.com. This is actually going to be services.grewandbleen.com. And then we're going to put in the correct time zone. So we're in New York time in Philly. I'm going to put in here. This is going to be internet and telecom, kind of. It doesn't really have our category, but if you can find your category in there, then use it. So then I'm going to uncheck all of these. Sorry, Google, I don't want to send you all my data and have you send me a bunch of data. So I'm going to uncheck those, and I'm going to accept the terms and conditions, and then it's going to create a new container. And the first thing that I should see here is it should default me to what my Google Analytics ID is. So we can see up here that my tracking ID is listed right here. So we're going to need that once we start creating this Google Analytics tag in Google Tag Manager. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Google Tag Manager, and we're actually going to put this code into our WordPress site. If you don't have a WordPress site, or if you are just using a fully coded website, same principles. You're going to want to put this in the head section as high up as it can go, and this in the body section as high up as it can go, right after the opening body tag. So it's the same principle among many websites, but yeah, you're going to want to do that. I'm going to walk through. If you want to bypass this part, just jump ahead and go to the section on Tag Manager, which we will label in the notes. Cool. So here you go. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go into my WordPress site. I'm going to go into appearances and then theme editor. And really, you're going to want to have a child theme with the head in it so that you don't, sometimes when themes update, it'll automatically override override your code. So you want to make sure to basically have this in the child theme so that it doesn't get overridden. So I'm going to go into the main theme here, and I'm going to find my header.php file. This is where I'm going to place that code. And we're going to go and grab that code from Google Tag Manager here, and we're going to put that first part up in the head as high as it can go so I can see the head is right here. I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to put the other code right underneath the opening body tag. Oops, we just by mistake got out of Tag Manager. So I'm going to get back in there, but I'm going to put this code right under the opening body tag. I'm going to update the file, and then we're going to just make sure that the site didn't break and we destroyed the internet. So the first thing we're going to do is just go to the page and just make sure that it's there. Okay, so the site's still loaded. That's great. And we're going to use this tool called Tag Assistant that you can find on the Chrome store, just to make sure that you see Google Tag Manager in there, and we can see that it is in there. It's telling me that I have an HTTP response code failure, which basically just means I didn't publish the tag yet, which is fine. So now all we have to do is publish it, and we should see that Tag Assistant giving us a good green. So what I'm going to do, actually, before we jump ahead here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just press submit and publish this first version without anything in it, just to test to make sure that Google Tag Manager is being read the right way. So I'm just going to click this submit button here, and I'm going to add a version, which is basically just telling Google Tag Manager, this is a labeling system for yourself. If you and other people are working on this, this is an indication of what you're doing, what you're publishing. So I'm going to put, this is just publishing first pushed live. And this is just, pre-tags, publish. Okay, so we can always go back here if we make mistakes later. Or if you want an empty slate. So this is the first version that we're publishing. So I'm going to publish that. And now when I go back to viewing my blog and seeing once this indicates that it's done, I can now reload this. And instead of yellow, we should see green up here. Or blue. Blue is fine. Green right there. Okay, cool. So we see green up here. And that green is an indication that everything is working as expected. So now that we have the Google Tag Manager tag in there, we need to add the Google Analytics tag. So before we add the Google Analytics tracking ID, I just want to set up a few additional things in Google Analytics to make sure that we're getting all the data appropriately that we want to be getting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to go into property settings and add advertising features. This will allow us to basically see age demographics and gender, in-market segments. This is really helpful if you are ever, advertising on Google AdWords, or if you just want the metrics to understand who is your user and who's using your site. This is extremely helpful. So then I'm going to, from here I could add Search Console, which is the best practice, but we're not going to do that now. So I'm going to go into, the next thing I'm going to do is go into data collection. And I'm going to turn on remarketing and advertising reporting. That's going to allow me to create remarketing lists. If we do go down the road of doing advertisements on Google cost per click, we can now have access to remarketing data. And then just throughout here, if there's anything else that, custom that you would want to set up, just making sure that that's set up first so that you start getting the data from the very beginning that you want. You can also go into data retention here and turn this off and don't automatically expire. This is different depending on your privacy settings. So you just want to make sure that you have a privacy policy on your website that states what you're doing with the data. But what this will do is it'll automatically expire event data and certain cookies after a certain amount of time, and we don't really want that. We want to have historical data the correct way, so we're going to turn that off. But make sure that, like I said, have a good privacy policy just to make sure, and a cookie policy, making sure that you alert your users how you're using their data. Okay, so we're going to save that. And then there's certain things on in here in view settings. For instance, if you have queries on your website, you want to make sure to put them in here so that they don't show up on your website. You can. It's always a very best practice to create 3 different views. One with all of your raw data, and then 2 additional views. One for testing filters, and then one that is completely clean, a clean view. And I'll show you the difference in a second here. So you always want to have access to all your data, just in case a filter that you do messes anything up. But you want to make sure that you are have a clean one as well that is set to exclude bots. So you can give that a check. And also create filters for instance, your IP address, which we can do in another tutorial, and additional filters, filtering out spam, filtering everything to lowercase. Each one of those is a bit of a complex topic, so we will do that in a different tutorial video. So once we have everything set up the way we want in our Google Analytics, all you have to do is grab this tracking ID. What we're going to do is we're going to go into Google Tag Manager again, and we're going to go to our workspace, and we're going to create a tag. And this is going to be a Google Analytics tag. And we want this to fire on a page view. So whenever a page loads, we want to fire the information back to Google Analytics. And then we're going to need to create a Google Analytics settings variable. And this is just going to tell you what to put in it. Put in this tracking ID. So we're going to put in this tracking ID, and we're going to say Google Analytics main tracking settings. And then we can check this more settings down here. We can add additional functionalities. So for instance, if we want to enable the display advertising features from here, we can do that. If we have any custom dimensions or additional more complex configuration, we would put that all down here. So we add that, we save it, and now you can see in here we have Google Analytics main tracking settings. Now it's going to ask us where we want this to trigger. And because it's the main Google Analytics tag, we want it to trigger on every single page. So I'm going to just click trigger, and they already have this all pages trigger set up for you. So we're going to click all pages, and we're going to label this tag Google Analytics main tag. I'm going to save it. And now we have it built, and we're ready to test to make sure that it's working. So I'm going to submit this, and we're going to publish it. Actually, before we jump ahead, I know that I created this in the right way, but for the best practice purposes, we just want to make sure that this is firing correctly. So we're going to actually go into preview mode, and we're going to go back to our website that we implemented Google Tag Manager on. And we're going to, once this is in preview mode, and we have that verified, we are going to load the website again. And we'll see this pop-up here that is actually being controlled by Google Tag Manager. And we can see that on our page view, Google Analytics fired. We can also see up here that Google Tag Manager is there, and Google Analytics is there too. So this is actually not live on the website. This is actually just in my browser because I did not publish this live yet. But I should be able to at least bug test it, and to verify that, you know, there is data coming in, I can go into this overview and see that there is one person on my site right now. That is obviously me, and that there is data going into Google Analytics. So everything looks great. It's been set up. So now all we have to do is press submit, and then we're going to label this again like we did last time. We're going to say Google Analytics tag implementation, and you know, additional notes: implemented Google Analytics main tag, and then we're going to publish it. And so now it'll become public facing. So when other people go to that website, we should be able to see their data as well. And that's how you start, you know, your Google Analytics journey with Google Tag Manager. So there will be more tutorials on the way like this, more advanced ones and more simple ones. So keep coming back. Comment below with any questions you have and what you want to see next.